Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Homemade. Come on in. Got a lot going on today. A lot of really, really great fun. Hi, Debbie. Good dishes. So excited for this with our partner, La Panzanella. Delicious, wonderful product with so many things to do with them. Come on in, welcome, welcome, welcome. Chef Diana here at Homemade. Happy to be here. Back-to-back classes. I was here last night and got to come back today. I love this job. Welcome. We're doing an al fresco dinner party tonight. Lots of really wonderful appetizers with the La Panzanella crackers, which can definitely be a full meal. So beautiful vegetarian appetizers, and then we'll talk about some different things you can do and some additions. So we'll just give everybody just a couple of minutes here to enter and get settled, and then we'll get started. I'm super happy to be here again. I'm Chef Diana, and our partner tonight is La Panzanella. And I have a history. It was really fun reading by the way, the beautiful website. We were just playing around with it before class. The La Panzanella website, it's interactive and has so many great recipe ideas, and it's interactive. You can click on a specific type of cracker and then it'll suggest pairings. They also have a fabulous new gluten-free cracker, relatively new gluten-free cracker, and oat thin, which is delicious. So if you go to the website, you can click on the gluten-free cracker and it actually comes up with all kinds of gluten-free options to serve with that cracker. So it's really, that pairs well with it. So beverages and everything. It's really, really a nice website. So check it out. The link is in the chat. And my history with La Panzanella is when I was on the website, I read the beautiful, really heartfelt introduction of how La Panzanella started here in Seattle. And in 1989, and then shortly after that, my husband and I were running a small restaurant in Seattle, and we didn't have bread available in big cities like we do today. Most big cities have, a handful at least of really, really beautiful, delicious bread bakers. But at the time, we really didn't have any. And I remember La Panzanella being probably the first, making these beautiful rustic loaves of bread. I think it was just a one-man show, and bringing them to our restaurant in these brown paper bags, and you could smell them. We would pull them out of the brown paper bags and they were still warm, and they would have this thick, Italian crust on it and this beautiful interior, and it was delicious. And we ended up having to buy extra bread because the staff, we were all eating so much of it that we ended up having to buy buying more, but it was a small operation at the time. And so it was really, it took me back today in looking at the website again and reading that story and remembering those days. And then to be here today, 3 decades later, teaching a class with how far this starter company has come in 3 decades, and to be here with these delicious crackers that they make now that are available everywhere. It was just kind of a fun moment for me to sort of relive all that. So anyway, I can see in my mind, I can see him bringing the bread through our restaurant door and smelling it and seeing that gorgeous bread. And then here we are with this fabulous success story and this delicious product. By the way, when you go to the store to find the La Panzanella crackers, they will most likely be in the by the deli section. So we have some delicious cheese today. They're not maybe mixed in with the regular crackers, the big cracker section. Perhaps they are in some stores, but most often you will find them in the specialty deli section, close to the cheese. So we have picked out some beautiful Italian cheeses today that will pair well with them. And so maybe you talk to the cheesemonger or behind the deli counter and ask them for some recommendations on cheeses, a variety of a couple. So we have 3 today. And we'll be showing those to you later on when we start assembling our platters and get into this beautiful 3 recipes today that we'll be doing. So I'm here again, day 2, working with the chef Lisa B, Chef B, Cousin B. We're all tossing around what we want to, it should be her choice, right? But we were all talking about what suits you best. Cousin B, Chef B. We'll just toss a few around and then maybe people can weigh in on that. But welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Chef Diana. I'm so excited for this al fresco party. There are 3 items that are incredible, y'all. Sweet, savory, a little bit of everything. And when you get on the website with La Panzanella, they actually do half the work for you and give you all the pairings, which is really cool.
Love that. Yeah, we were playing around with it and it's like, oops, I guess it's time to teach a class because we were having so much fun going into that website. So Chef Lisa B, Chef B, taught her first class with homemade this week, and she'll be back Monday. So make sure you take a look at the schedule. It's not just Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I was here last night on a Wednesday, and Chef Lisa will be back on Monday teaching a class. And so she's fairly new to homemade and just getting started, and also doing the moderation moderating in the chat. So if you're new to homemade, we love to see you. We love to see you on camera. We love for you to interact and ask questions, and so you can do that through the chat with Chef B. And turn your cameras on. We love to see you. So if you're a seasoned, pun completely intended there, homemader, welcome back, and it's great to see all of you. So thanks for being here tonight. And Chef Lisa and I had such a great time. We're just learning to work together. So we had a great time working together last night and walked out the door at the end of the day after cleaning up. And I was equating it sort of like, I've been married for 35 years, so I never did an online dating thing. But we were sort of like walking out, we were just kind of giggling and kind of happy with how the evening went. And I was thinking today, I was like, oh, it's kind of like Chef B, isn't it like we both swiped right if it was a dating app? And it's like, so we had our coffee date last night, and we decided we wanted to come back again. So here we are, we're on date 2 tonight with the 2 of us. And we had such a great time setting up for class and just chatting that I'm hoping there'll be many more. So welcome again, Chef B, to Homemade.
Thank you, Chef Diana. We're 2 peas in a pod now.
We are.
I think we're together forever
and
at this point.
Lots of giggles already.
Lots of giggles.
So super fun. So let's go ahead and get started with the 3 recipes. They are so perfect for this time of year. And again, the La Panzanella website will steer you when we get into the fall and the winter months. There's so many great ideas in there. But we have so many things available now around the country. And fresh produce, farmers markets are out there and, full steam ahead. And so we just have so many fun things to work with. I'm sure it was difficult to narrow down what to put on these delicious crackers today. But we have a white bean dip, and we're using some fresh sage in that. We have a tomato carpaccio. We're calling it tomato carpaccio because carpaccio signifies a meat dish, as a traditional meat dish that's like shaved raw meat and then served typically as an appetizer with maybe some sort of a bread and a dipping sauce. And the reason we're calling it a carpaccio is that we're slow roasting these gorgeous tomato slices and putting them in the oven, slow roasting for a couple of hours with some olive oil, lots of cracked black pepper like you would almost find in a meat item like a salami or on a charcuterie board, olive oil, salt and pepper, and then cooking them for a long time at a low temperature. So they get this kind of like chewy, Chef B, help me out if you can, chewy, umami, great texture.
Oh yeah.
How does that sound?
Carpaccio is like a nice, you don't feel too full after it. It's just like a little nibble, an introduction to what you want.
Yeah, and the tomatoes almost mimic that beef in a way. And so you can keep this vegetarian, but have that nice sort of chewiness and kind of jammy with the tomatoes. So it's losing all of its moisture, and the texture significantly changes with that slow roast. And then our third one is, oh my gosh, I love this one so much. I love them all, but I love this one. It's the peaches, so fresh peaches. Ours are close here in Washington State. Some of you around the country or in other places may have ripe peaches available now. Ours are getting really close. So we have some that came from the eastern side of the state that we've been ripening for a couple of days. And diced peaches and a little lemon zest and juice. And then we're putting those over torn burrata cheese. So a fresh mozzarella, but softer and creamier cheese. A little torn fresh mint on top, and then a hot honey drizzled over on the top of that. So the flavors are just incredible. And that could almost be, for me, that could almost be a dessert. So we'll talk more about things that you can do to vary these. So we're gonna start with the bean dip. And I have a small mini processor here. And I'm gonna go ahead and put we used canned white beans tonight. So I rinsed the beans out of the can, and I saved a little bit of the liquid from the can, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. So I just saved a little bit of that. And I'm gonna go ahead and put those white beans into the processor. And you can use dried beans if you want. So remember, you have to plan ahead with the dried beans. So a white bean is what's suggested for this recipe. So that would be a northern white or a cannellini bean is what's suggested for this recipe. And you would want to soak those overnight and then drain them and then cook them until they're fairly soft, and then drain them from that point and then just start here. So if you want to use a bean, a dried bean, you certainly can. You just have to plan ahead a little bit further, okay? So I have the white beans in there, and then we're gonna go ahead and chop the garlic tonight. I'm not gonna use the zester. I'm gonna just rough chop the garlic, because I'm gonna let the machine do the work for me. And there is salt in the recipe. I've demonstrated before making a garlic paste using the salt that breaks up the garlic a little bit, but not really necessary to do that tonight, because we're gonna go ahead and just let the machine work for us. So just a rough chop on the garlic. The 2 garlic cloves. We had some nice big fat garlic cloves. So that looked like 4, but I actually cut them in half lengthwise. Sometimes if they have that little green shoot that you see sometimes in garlic and onions and that family, it means that it's trying to grow again, it's trying to sprout again. And with the garlic, sometimes that little green shoot can be an indicator of some bitterness. It can sometimes make things a little bit bitter. So I make a habit of always taking it out, especially if it's kind of sprouting. The garlic is not bad, it's just I remove that. And like you would remove it if you saw an onion sprouting, which we sometimes do, you usually remove that as well, right? And then I'm gonna go ahead and just put 1 tablespoon of the olive oil in with the beans. That's just gonna add a little volume to help the machine do its work and liquefy. I'm gonna do the lemon zest. The lemon has been washed, always, because the outside of lemons are not sanitary when you buy them in the store, right? They probably have bacteria on them. They've been through a lot of hands. So I always wash my fruits, whatever it is, even if I'm not eating the outside. And remember, we only go down to where it starts turning white, because underneath that it's something you don't want to put into your dish because it's really astringent, which is not a good flavor. So the lemon zest, that's probably plenty. I was talking and kind of got carried away there, but hey, no problem. Who doesn't like that, right? Lemon. And then we'll go ahead and squeeze a little bit of the juice in there as well. And then sage is kind of a fun herb to be using in this dish. Sage leaves are kind of fuzzy, and it's a pretty hardy herb. And it's used often, sage is used often with poultry and in stuffings. And it's used in a lot of stews and wintry dishes, but it's really nice tonight in this dish because it's a really nice flavor with the other herbs we have going on. With the mint, it's a really nice contrasting flavor and just brings another element into this whole array of dishes that we're doing. So I washed the sage and blotted it dry. And then I'm just gonna go ahead again and let the machine do the work there. And of course, salt, but we're gonna err on the side of under. We can always add more later after we taste it. So we'll put a little bit of salt. And the next ingredient, actually we're gonna put some black pepper, but we're also gonna put, whoops, that's a little bit heavy. There we go. We're gonna put some black pepper, but we're also gonna put a pinch of red pepper. That could totally be omitted if you don't like a little kick, a little spice. I like spice. We are spicy around here, aren't we?
Super
Sassy
spicy.
Sassy and spicy.
Sassy, spicy. I love it. I'm gonna use that.
And we're gonna see what happens when we turn this on. So we're gonna see how liquidy it is. Not very. I want it quite a bit more liquidy than that for a couple reasons. First of all, that's the way I like and the way I think we should have our dips. It's really thick. It's not even really pureeing because it's not quite, it needs to be thinned down. And also, if you're making this ahead of time, which I suggest that you do, if you make it ahead of time, you are going to want to refrigerate it. And when you put it into the refrigerator, it's going to get thicker. Okay, so things get thicker inside the refrigerator when they get cold. So the machine is actually adding some heat because it's working it. So we're going to have a thicker consistency once we chill. And that's pretty much the case with everything, if you just kind of file that away in the back of your mind. So I can take some of that liquid from the beans, from the can of beans, which has a lot of bean flavor, but it's thicker than water, right? So I'm going to start with that little bit of bean liquid because I want to add that flavor. I don't want to throw that flavor away if I can use it. And then we'll see what we have, and then we'll probably add a little water as well. Much thinner, but not quite where we're at. So go easy. We'll scrape the sides down. Oh, we have a nice consistency now. It's a tiny bit on the thin side, but I'm going to refrigerate it, and then it'll thicken up probably to exactly where I want it. And remember, I can always add a little more something later on if I want to. So let's give it a little taste, adjust anything if needed yet. No, it's good. It's lemony, which I don't have a problem with. No, it's really good. And the flavors are going to get better as it sits, too. We say marry or meld flavors as they sit. So everything has a chance to kind of marinate and meld together. So let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and put that in the little serving bowl that we're going to serve it in later. I can't wait for y'all to see. I hope you can all stay till the end. Don't go anywhere because you're rubbing off on me. I just said y'all. Did you notice that?
It's time to say y'all all the time.
Y'all.
It's so fun to say, and I think it's just so easy and, lighthearted. Everyone's a y'all.
Y'all. Y'all stay till the end. So I don't think that's too thin.
That looks perfect. I mean, you want like a nice consistency. It's not too thick, not too thin. So that way when you gather everything together, it doesn't fall apart, but it also doesn't like sit hard like a rock,
Right. And also what I love about these crackers, La Panzanella crackers, is they're so like flaky-ish, So you want to make sure that, have you ever dipped a cracker or a potato chip into a dip and it breaks? Like you can't get the dip on there because it's just crumbling. I think this is a really good consistency for dipping, which is what we're going to do with that. And then you can just garnish with some of that sage, and then your people know that there's sage in there. That's an indicator.
Some people ask about the sage. I told them they can use a few leaves or they can do like a tablespoon. What would you recommend, especially with the flavor of sage?
That's a really, really good question. And I would, if you're not familiar with sage, I would taste it. I would take a little piece and I would taste it and say, that's not for me. It does have a pretty distinct flavor, doesn't it? It has a pretty distinct flavor. It's not super strong, but if you're not familiar with it, I would definitely taste it. And I would do just like I tell you with everything else. I would start easy and add, for that amount, for the 2 cups of beans that the recipe calls for, 2 cups of beans, I would probably stick with maybe 2 teaspoons of chopped to start with, no more than that, and then just be prepared to add more. Yeah. And we're growing sage at home this year, which I've never have grown sage before, and it's really hardy and really doing well.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love that you're growing sage. It's really nice around the Washington climate to grow herbs like rosemary, sage are so hardy, and they do so well here.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So I'm trying to use it, and I love this dip. Seriously, I'm not kidding you when I say this. It's so funny. I'm not the appetizer person. So a class this week, I think it was actually you, Chef B, and Meg were talking about what people ask you to bring to a potluck. Because usually the people, like I have friends that, I hope they're not here, but I have friends that they bring the corn on the cob, and they're like, oh, you don't trust us? We're bringing corn on the cob. Like all they have to do is buy the corn and shuck it. And people always get, oh, you bring the salad or whatever. Maybe they make a great salad. They love their salads. When people say to me, I've been a chef for a long, long time. I've taught chefs how to be chefs. But when people say to me, Chef Diana, can you bring an appetizer? I kind of go, I kind of literally gasp a little bit. And I'm like, I just feel like it's like not my forte. So here I was yesterday saying my yeasted breads and my yeasted desserts are not my forte. Again, I just sometimes draw a blank with appetizers. I got so excited about testing these recipes at home. I have cousins coming from North Carolina to visit tomorrow, and they're going to be there for dinner. I'm making these 3 appetizers at home tomorrow night. My neighbors are coming over on Saturday night for dinner. I'm making these three appetizers. I shopped and I bought enough for 2 nights because wait till you see. Y'all stay till the end, right? So they're just beautiful. They're just a real hit. And so I don't know where we started with that, but I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I'm super excited about these recipes. Beefsteak tomatoes, look at these gorgeous tomatoes. I'm only going to use 2 of them. These 2 look a little more ready to go. Also, what's nice about this recipe is the tomatoes. Sometimes we buy tomatoes and they can go from like they need to be eaten today, and if you don't eat them today, it's like, oops, tomorrow is like too late, and they're just gone, right? Because they can ripen pretty quickly. And they're a fruit, and they have a really thin skin, and they're grown in the warmer months, so typically the weather's warm, and they can just go from like ripe to overripe in a day. And then it's just a shame to have to get rid of them. So if they're sort of like, not good enough for a salad, let's go ahead and make this Carpaccio, or just roast them and put them in a little olive oil and stick them in the fridge, and they'll last for a long time, or in the freezer. So of course they've been washed and ahead of time. Let me move this olive oil out of the way. And I'm going to core them by not just taking a slice off. I want to utilize as much of this tomato and get the best yield I possibly can. So I'm going to take the knife and just core carefully, pointing the tip of my knife down. These knives we have around here are sharp, Chef B, be careful. They're a lot sharper than most of us probably have at home.
That's probably the best part, though.
I know.
If you have a sharp knife, it can destroy any fruit, no matter how ripe. That, especially when you're cutting anything, if you ever feel like your fruit is too ripe, a sharp knife will solve everything.
And you know what else I like with the tomatoes is I like to use the serrated knife for tomatoes. So serrated is the scalloped. This one, it's a really fine little scalloped edge, like a bread knife. A lot of people would just call it a bread knife. I really like that for ripe tomatoes because if you have a really ripe tomato, and especially if you have a dull knife and it doesn't have a serrated edge, you can just smash this, just totally smash this. So I'm going to take the serrated knife and I'm going to try and cut, it's just slicing through so nicely, 1/4 inch, pretty thin. I'm going to try and cut them all the same. And with this big, juicy tomato, it's kind of hard to cut them all exactly the same, but you want to try for that because you want your tomatoes to all cook nice and evenly. And then we're going to put them onto a cookie sheet pan, lined with parchment paper. I would suggest that. You don't have to. Parchment paper is readily available, though, and I love it. Sometimes for baking, I'll even reuse it. You don't always have to throw it away. If you're baking some cookies or something, you can fold it up. I'm pretty frugal. Some people are like, what? You say parchment paper? I sometimes have cookie dough in the freezer, like, rolled out in balls already in bags, and I just fold up a piece of parchment paper and I keep it in there in the freezer. And then I use that parchment paper over and over again. Why waste it? I don't like to waste anything. I started talking, look what I did. That was bad.
No, that looks gorgeous.
That's a bad,
those are like nibbly scraps.
Bad grade, Chef D, on that one.
Anytime you make a bunch and you have some misshapen ones, those are snacks for you.
That actually does look delicious. I'm actually going to keep that and eat that later.
That's a reward for you for later. And those steaks.
I like the way you think. We have a third date scheduled, don't we?
We do.
Okay, good.
We have many dates scheduled ahead of time, for sure. I'm about to show you. Steph has shared her.
Oh, the bean. Oh my
Look
goodness.
At how gorgeous. I just wanted to show you that.
Variegated sage. Do y'all know what that is? What did you do to me? Do y'all know what that is? Variegated sage? Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. It's an herb that has different colors in it. That's so pretty. That looks delicious. So the cracker flavors, while we're finishing this up, oh my goodness, there's so many. Rosemary, black pepper, la panzanella. I like the seedy ones. I like the multigrain or the sprouted because they're kind of seedy. I like things that have seeds in them. Oh my gosh, there's a lot. Garlic, roasted garlic, there's a lot to choose from. So my favorites are the whole wheat or the seedy ones or sprouted. I like those. But the flavors can pair, just think about what you're pairing it with. And so they have really wonderful flavors that will go with different dishes. So I think the dishes we're making today, just about any of them would work, really, which is kind of nice. So, okay, we're gonna drizzle this with a little olive oil. The tomatoes. I could have probably just poured it right out of that bottle, but we'll just, a little olive oil over all of them, salt and pepper, and then they go into an oven, preheated oven at 250 degrees. So very, very low for 2 to 3 hours, depending on your oven. And I have a swap out here, so I'll show in a second what they're supposed to look like when they're done. And definitely done ahead of time and hold really, really well.
Tina said good tip about the used parchment paper.
Oh, good. Got somebody else that likes to save their pennies. I like to not waste anything if possible. So salt, and then we're going to go to town with the pepper. And you don't have to. Again, we're just the carpaccio, like a meat carpaccio would have a lot of pepper, like a salami or something would. And that's kind of what we're mimicking here with these beautiful tomatoes. That's a good pepper grinder too. I wish I had all this great stuff at home in my house.
Me too.
And this is what they look like after 2 hours. I'll put these in the oven for us later.
Those look gorgeous.
Don't they look nice? So they really get just nice and dried out. And you could, if you prefer them a little more moist, you could definitely not go that long and keep them a little more moist. We're serving it with a little arugula salad, which I'll show you in a few minutes. But these will be, they'll be delicious with the salad. So just for sake of time, we're going to go ahead and move in to the burrata dish, and then at the end I'll just kind of assemble everything all at the same time. Okay, so burrata is a soft cheese, as we talked about. It's usually it's like a fresh mozzarella, and it's encased, firm on the outside, and then really soft on the inside. So as the recipe says it, we just kind of tear it. So it's got a creamy center. It's almost like an egg, right? And this one has a little bit of a harder exterior than some I've worked with, but it'll be great with this dish. It's gooey inside. If you don't like to, some people don't like to get their hands in stuff like this. I don't mind it. I think if your hands are clean, they're your best tools. But some people prefer not to. And I think that's actually, well, we'll put a little bit more. Burrata is great in a salad. You can warm it up. In the winter months, it's really nice warmed up with a little rosemary, olive oil on it. You could use some of the roasted garlic la panzanella crackers, make it a little more, maybe some sort of a jam or something, make it a little more wintry. So lots of uses for burrata. But it's a nice fresh cheese that's really good in the, had to get rid of my hands.
Burrata is one of my favorite cheeses. It's just like so moist, and depending on the levels of moisture, you can have one that's like kind of melts without it having any heat. And some are just like
at room temperature almost.
Yeah, at room temperature. What's a good substitute? Some people are asking, it's hard to find a good burrata. What can I substitute it?
Do you know what I think would be really good with this? Would be a brie. Like we have a style of brie today, robiola cheese that looks like a brie. It's the same kind of style. I think brie would be really good. So soft, creamy, I think. What do you think? I'm thinking even like a mascarpone or a creme fraiche would even be good. Soft ricotta, lots of them.
All of those sound really delicious. A lot of variations right there. I told them fresh mozz, like just a regular, really moist one, but all of those sound really flavorful.
So again, these are a little still not ripe, but I think with the honey and things that we're putting on them, they'll be great. I was hoping I could, I'm going around the pit in the center, and then a real ripe peach will twist like that, did finally. And the pit's in the center. And usually, let's see, we'll just cut around that. Safety first, safety first. It's a beautiful peach. Look at the blush color to it. It's really pretty. Isn't that pretty? So we bought these, and they were quite a bit firmer when we bought them, and put them into a brown paper bag. And if you put them in a brown paper bag, sometimes if you even stick something like a banana in there, that has more, I think it's the ethylene gas is what it is, will help ripen things faster. So avocados, peaches, any stone fruit that you want to ripen quicker, if you put it into that brown paper bag for a couple of days, the ripening process happens a lot quicker. So it's a nice little tip. You just have to remember that it's in there. Because sometimes when something's sitting around a brown paper bag, you don't look at it, you forget about it. You just walk by it and then go, oh, my peaches are too ripe. So we'll go with 2 standard size peaches. And then we're going to want to dip these up with our crackers. So we want to cut them to the appropriate size. And I'm not opposed to that fuzzy peach skin at all. Some people, if you do want to peel the peaches, first of all, there is an option called a nectarine, which I also love nectarines. And it's a lot like a peach, but doesn't have a fuzzy skin. But you can put peaches into, make a little, so I have one more I wanted to show you. Well, if this was a whole peach in my hand, if I make a little X in the bottom of it, just cross X in the bottom of it, and then I put it in boiling water for literally like 3 seconds, and then pull it out and put it into some ice water, you can take the peel off. You should be able to take the peel off really easily, and the peach should still be pretty much raw. So it's been in that water for such a short amount of time, and don't let it sit in the hot water or the cold water, and the skin should just peel right off. So that's a nice little tip. I know some people don't really care for the fuzzy peach skin.
That's where you get all your fiber, though, with the fuzzy peach skin.
That's right. That's right. There's a lot of fiber in there. These also are not very fuzzy peaches. They're pretty. And then we're going to toss them in a little bit of lemon juice. The reason for the lemon juice, 2 reasons. One is because it's a great flavor with everything else that's going in there. And also, it's going to help keep them from browning. So if you are having this al fresco party, which you should, right? Because this is such a great dish. I'm having 2 of them this week. Think about what you should do first, and what you can do first, and what you should do first, and then what you should wait. This is a step that you would probably want to wait a little bit, because the lemon juice will help keep them from turning brown, but it won't stop them completely. So, and then we'll just toss that around a little bit.
They have a question here. When you are giving the advice about the brown paper bag, how long does it take typically to ripen in the brown paper bag?
That's a great question. And I'm probably not going to give you an answer that's going to totally satisfy you. So it depends on what it is. And then you have to check them daily, because it depends on what it is and how hard it is and how long it needs to ripen. So if I put, I do this with avocados a lot. If they're really, really hard avocados, and I put them in a bag, I'll usually stick a banana in there, and then I'll check them the next day, knowing that they're probably not going to be soft and ready to go. So a really, really hard avocado like that usually takes about 2 to 3 days for me at home. Again, temperature is going to be important too. The peaches, I think Meg purchased them day before yesterday, and they day before yesterday, or yesterday, and they were in there for 24 to 48 hours, depending on which day. I'm sorry, I don't remember, but and they definitely softened quite a bit. I was here yesterday and I tested them, and they were still pretty hard yesterday, and today they definitely had some give to them. So really, really hard fruit, which avocado is a fruit as well, I would say if they're really hard, a day's not long enough. You're going to need at least probably a couple days. But keep an eye on it. You can always, check them. Good question. And then the hot honey, such a fun addition to this dish. We have some ready to go, so when I plate this, I'll use the hot honey that we purchased, because you can buy it in the store, and there's a couple delicious brands out there. But if you wanted to make your own hot honey, you could take some chili flakes and just some whatever standard neutral flavored honey, put it into a little saucepan, the honey, bring it to a simmer, put the red chili flakes in there, and then take it off the heat. As soon as it comes to a simmer, just take it off of the heat and set it aside. And then I would probably pour it through a strainer while it still is a little liquidy. And then you have a spicy hot honey. Absolutely delicious. That's how I typically make it at home. Some people like to, if you are on you come from where you like spicy stuff, you can leave the red chili flakes in there. It just know that it's going to continue to get hotter and hotter. And it's going to be a hotter honey to begin with, even if you use it that first day. So strain or not to strain. I would suggest the first time you strain it and then see how spicy you like it. But you can make your own, or you can buy it. So there's some good ones on the market as well. Okay, how are we doing? We're gonna finish. I think we're ready to sort of start assembling. Yay!
I'm excited.
Okay, so I still have a few more ingredients we need, but I think they're pretty much ready to go. So let's go ahead and put we're going to put the tomatoes first. We'll do this one first, because I think this one will hold up the best. So this step could be done well ahead of time. Tomatoes, I like to just overlap them a little bit on an appropriate size platter. And I pulled the cheese out at room temperature about 2 hours ago, because you really want to serve cheese. You're using these beautiful artisan crackers, and we have these beautiful, nice Italian cheeses. You don't want to serve them directly out of the refrigerator. So everything is going to taste better when it is, or more seasoned when it's out of the refrigerator, okay? So when things are cold, they lose some of their seasoning flavor. So you always want to serve, especially cheese, you definitely want to serve it room temperature, okay? For that reason, the flavor's really going to come out a lot better, and it is going to be a lot easier to serve, and it's going to be creamier and much more delicious that way. So you always want to remember to pull your cheese out of the refrigerator about 2 hours before you're ready to eat it, okay? And then I'll show you when I pull the platter out that I covered it with a damp, really, really lightly damp towel, just to hold the moisture in and so it wouldn't dry out, okay? So this is a fresh arugula, and you could use different greens if you want, but the arugula is absolutely delicious with this tomato carpaccio. So we're gonna add a little lemon zest. I love this dish. It's so Italian, isn't it? Tomato carpaccio. We've got pecorino, Parmesan, capers.
Bright, savory, a little bit of everything.
Yep.
You have that acid too.
It's fresh. A little lemon juice. A little olive oil.
Another question is, when you're worried about browning, is it just because it's unsightly, or does it change the flavor when you add lemon juice to it?
Okay, so I'm not sure I heard that correctly, but let me answer it briefly first, and then if I need to clarify, I'm happy to clarify. So the lemon juice adds flavor, which we want with this dish, and it also prevents browning. Did that answer it, or was there more to it?
No, I think that was it.
Okay, thank you. I love your questions, keep them coming. I feel like I have terrible answers today, but I'm trying.
I love your answers. They're beautiful and concise, so it's all good.
Capers, caper berries, they come from a caper bush, and they're delicious. They're pickled and brined and Some people don't like them, but most people do, and it's a traditional ingredient that goes with our carpaccio. So capers, and then I'm gonna put a little bit of the cheese. We have shaved Parmesan, a little bit of the cheese in there. And then I'll put a little bit of the cheese on top as well. So this is obviously a step that you would want to do right before as well. Arugula holds up surprisingly well, though. It's not a super, super delicate. Our capers are sinking to the bottom. It's not a super delicate type of green, so it does hold up pretty well. But I would say, you know, you wouldn't want to do this more than 15 to 20 minutes before you're going to serve it. And then a little more of the shaved Parmesan on top. Isn't that so pretty?
That is so gorgeous. I love it. Look at the cheese on there. It looks like a work of art.
So nice. And how did I shave the cheese? I had a block of Parmesan and I just used a vegetable peeler. So you can buy that in the grocery store like that, but why would you pay somebody to do that when you can do it, right? Don't spend the extra money. Plus, it has a tendency to dry out. If you buy it in the little cheese container, it's already shaved, you pay more, and it has a tendency to dry out. It's already a dry aged cheese, but you do want it to still retain some moisture. So I just take a vegetable peeler and just shave it off of a block, and that works really nicely. Okay, so we'll do the peach dish, and they're beautiful. They held up really nicely. And we're gonna go ahead and just sprinkle the peaches on top. I love this. You know, I love desserts, and I don't always have to have a super, super sweet dessert. And this, to me, with the sprouted or the whole wheat La Panzanella crackers, is like dessert to me. So we have some fresh mint, and then the honey, the hot honey. Oh, we have a little olive oil. I think the recipe calls for just a little bit of olive oil. And of course, we need salt and pepper too. So let's do that before the honey. Just a little drizzle. Help keep everything moist. And then I'm not going to put pepper because we have the chili pepper in the hot honey. So fun.
Look at that drizzle. I mean, I'm ready to eat. Let's get this going. I'm ready to eat.
I have to say, I'm going to confess, I did a lot of snacking today setting up. I mean, I couldn't help it. I was here. There's a lot of people here on vacation, so it's really quiet. And of course, I would, look. Does anybody see me eat? There's so many delicious things around and so many things to snack on. I did some snacking, so of course I'm always hungry, so I'm hungry still, but not as hungry as I usually am at the end of class. And then watch this. Okay, fresh mint, so good. Now, to make this less, I don't know, dessert-ish, does the mint make it seem like dessert maybe? Which, it make a delicious dessert. But maybe chives? You could do fresh chives, I think would be really good on here if you wanted some other type of herb. But the mint is a really nice pairing with this. Okay, I love this. And that's that. Simple, 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 right? And then we have our last dish. Which is the platter, successfully. Hopefully I can get it over there successfully. With the white bean dip and the crackers. I mean, talk about throwing together a nice party, right?
Look at that spread. I would never leave.
I know. And so vegetarian, so it's vegetarian, which is a nice option sometimes. The first time I did this, I was having a friend for dinner and I roasted a chicken, and we had this like full meal thing, right? I had a roasted chicken. I mean, you don't really need it, but if you're hungry and you really want a dinner, a full dinner, and you want some protein, I roasted a chicken and we had this and it was delicious. And then I had leftovers. I mean, it was such a nice meal, especially in the summer months. And then if you wanted to do something else, you could, if you wanted to add a meat item, although it doesn't need it, I took a little bit of prosciutto today and I put it in the oven on this little rack, and I just, while the tomatoes were roasting, so low temperature, and then the prosciutto got crispy. And I think to make the peaches less dessert-like, if you wanted to do this, if you just wanted to bump it up a little bit, you don't have to. Bump it up with just a little more substantial something like meat, but it doesn't need it, but I just thought it was kind of a fun addition to have something crunchy on there. So a little prosciutto.
That crunch
as an
noise
option.
is beautiful.
I know.
Yeah.
Don't you love it? I love sound sometimes when we hear something. We hear something sizzling, and I used to always tell my students that. I said, we use our ears to cook too. You know, you hear something. A lot of times it's milk boiling over on the stove or whatever, but sometimes it's a sound you don't want to hear. But we do. We use a lot of our senses and we use our ears as well. So I encourage you to try these and also look at all the beautiful pictures on the La Panzanella website. I actually, maybe I should change my menu for the next couple of days because I looked at their pictures again this morning and there's so many great ideas on there. So lots and lots and lots of options. And again, we have an assortment of crackers. I love them all it depends on what you're eating. You could choose different crackers. I really love the whole wheat ones. They seem to be my favorite, but we have so many options. So I don't know. I'm gonna start eating, and you can check in. And you're coming over here, girlfriend, in a minute.
I'm coming over there for those rosemary crackers and that fava dip. Yeah, absolutely. And the peach, yes, it's gonna be gone in 5 seconds.
Isn't that fun? With the hot honey, it's delicious. And so the cheese we chose. It's nice to. And again, your cheese person can help you at the deli counter with this to come up with an assortment. So we have a hard Italian pecorino, and then this one that looks like brie here is a robiola, and then this is some sort of an Italian blue cheese. So you pick out ones you like, but it's nice to have an assortment with one that's a drier aged cheese, and then one that's a little creamier like this brie, and then I love a blue cheese, so that's sort of a nice option too. How are we doing? Everybody good? Anybody cooking out there tonight?
Steph has showed some of her pictures as well. She had a huge spread and everyone was so excited. Look at that.
Is that yellow tomato?
She said her groundhogs ate the microgreens, so she was left with a little bit.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. We saw that one white bean dip earlier. So the idea is just you could, have some tongs or whatever and some little plates, and then just use your little scoopers here. Use your crackers to scoop everything up. This one's gonna be a little challenging. I'm gonna go for it.
Oh, you hear that crunch again, y'all? These crackers are super crunchy and they're just so light. You can pair it with literally everything in your fridge and anything. So your guests will always be satisfied.
Delicious and so wonderful to be here. What a pleasure it was for me to be here at Homemade 2 nights in a row. And then my new BFF is going to be back Monday at, what are you making? Banh Mi burgers.
Banh Mi burgers, something so easy that you can make right at home. You don't have to step out your house.
On Monday. Well, I'll miss you.
I'll miss
I won't
you
be
too.
here. Okay. Eat well, be well. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks so much.
You.